You're listening to Our Relationship 2, where it's a podcast of 4 friends from 3 different countries and 2 marriages who talk on one podcast about long-distance relationships. This episode, we're going to be talking about cooking and all things dealing with food. Maybe not everything because it's such a broad concept at the moment, but listen to us shoot the shit and yeah.
Cooking.
No shit in the food.
Use.
Okay, no shit in the food.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is not my fetish.
No. I'm Felix.
I'm Cheryl.
I'm Grace.
And I'm Ludwig.
And yeah, I don't know where to start. There's so much things we can talk about. We could talk about what we love about food. We could talk about how we got introduced to learn how to love food, because some people will just eat it as a form of sustenance and just leave it at that, you know, and they'll just eat whatever crap.
This episode more specifically is cooking, so
that's true.
Yeah, a little bit of like how we got into food, but more so like how'd you get into cooking? Have you gotten into cooking? If so, like what's your deal?
Okay. I'll go ahead and start then, because I'm the chattiest one of the bunch.
Let's do.
Yeah, maybe, or like, should we do a disclaimer here where we're like, oh, so we're actually recording in 2 separate countries, and so the leg is real.
Oh, don't worry about that leg.
We'll find out
I've done magic for you, okay?
Oh.
Only problem is whenever the only problem is when you guys, because you guys only have one mic, it's when something drops on your end, and then I'm like, damn it. But Ludwig was talking, but Grace dropped a pen, so I can't edit that out. It's really annoying, but it's okay.
Yeah. Okay, so what's new? What's good? What's up with food?
What's up with cooking? Well,
You cook.
I cook a lot. I especially love doing it it's kind of like my love language, I guess. I love to feed, and I love to make people happy with the food that I cook. And I think that love grew from my mom, who always cooked in the house. Even when, Dad was working out of the country and it was just myself, my brother, and my mom living in this house, Mom would always be cooking. And I was always curious as to what she would cook and how she would cook. It was a lot of tough Asian mom parenting, where it was a lot of like, you're doing this wrong. What am I doing wrong? You're not doing that right. You never told me to do it that way. Well, I'm telling you now. You know that meme where it's like your ancestors, you will pray to your ancestors and hope that you have the spices just right. It's a lot of that with my mom. I remember one of the first things that I learned how to cook was just stir-fried spinach. Like, you cannot fail that. If you fail that, you have no hope, right? Mm-hmm. So I had to learn.
Yeah.
That definitely took, not a couple of tries, but Mom had to just watch over me and make sure I don't burn anything. But yeah, I think it was also, I learned about Mom's love language, which is making a lot of food, or making sure that we're all fed. That that I continue to today. I remember one time I was coming home from school, and Mom's like, okay, welcome home. Here's a banana. I was like, okay, thanks, Mom. I love bananas. And I was eating it. And like, so do you want rice? And I'm like, Mom, I'm eating a banana. Why are you asking me to eat rice? No, but that's my experience with cooking. And, I still nurture it today. And I still love to find new recipes. And I love to, especially when on my days off, I just love to cook. And I love to make a lot of it. So... And it's cheaper. Way cheaper than eating takeout.
Is.
Healthier too.
You, in your relationship, you were the one who does the food prep for the week, right?
Generally. Yeah, I'd say generally.
Oh, yeah. When it comes to Cheryl and I, yeah. Cheryl can't cook. Well,
I can.
Cheryl's getting better. But historically speaking, Cheryl does not cook.
Okay, so out of curiosity, let's rank all 4 of us based on who can cook the best to the person who doesn't cook that much.
This is gonna sting.
Grace and I, it's either a tie or someone comes out really, really by a sliver.
And then Ludwig comes after, and then Cheryl? Or is it Ludwig and Cheryl?
I need to know what Ludwig's experience is. I already know what Cheryl has to deal with, so I want to hear Ludwig.
In this case, maybe I'm talking about my history of cooking because I learned to cook very late in my life when I moved out from home, which was like 8 years ago or something.
Bachelor
like that.
cooking.
Bachelor cooking.
Oh.
So I had no idea where to start. I had no idea what to cook. I had 2 or 3 cooking books. One of them was telling to use your creativity in the most awesome way. They tried to do that. So for a big part of my life, my cooking was, let's say, experimental. And it still kind of is. I catch Grace sometimes looking at me cooking, and she's like, Ludwig, what is your thought process behind this? I'm like, I have no idea. It works.
And does it taste good?
Well, we both can eat it.
Oh, no.
It's
Grace.
edible.
I admit it is not the
Grace,
best kind of food.
oh, no.
I admit it's not the best kind of food, but it will fill your stomachs, and I have down the basics in a way that it will make us full without us feeling like we should eat something else.
Right, okay. So I think, yeah. See, Ludwig is at least willing to experiment and do something, but you have the fundamental basics down. You know, like, okay, you should at least add salt, add some oil, you got some carbs going, you maybe got a protein going, and then spices. That's it. I don't know what it is, but it's edible and it tastes okay. That's like Ludwig's MO, right? Am I getting this right?
Yeah.
Cheryl just gets paralyzed with choices.
How dare you speak on my behalf?
Would you like to speak on your own behalf then? Because I've seen this happen way too many times.
So I was in a similar boat to Ludwig in that I would help my mom with cooking, but it was always kind of a stressful kind of interaction because my mom likes things done a certain way, but she doesn't communicate what those things are. So when I would help her, it was most of the time with like baking, and which is a lot of like prepping and helping like knead the dough and whatnot because she's got like a bit of, she's not the strongest with her hands anymore, so it's a lot of helping her with stuff that she's not able to do anymore, but she wants it done the way she would do it if she could, but she won't tell me how. So I never really had the best experience with cooking. Not like I didn't enjoy cooking with mom, it's just that it's generally would end up in us like bickering over what to do. So I actually started cooking when I hit university, and I was in my apartment, and I was like, I need to fry an egg.
Oh no.
I remember Felix and I still being long distance at the time, I sent him a picture of my first successful sunny side up egg, and I was the most proud that a person can be. And he was like, Cheryl, not to burst your bubble, but that's easy.
That's we need to put that on an Instagram page. We need to find that photo.
Oh God, I'll have to go through all my old phones, but that's kind of how my cooking relationship has gone.
Cheryl also, in the same breath, will tell you that they burn spaghetti in water.
You will never let me live that down.
Is that just like boiling to the point that there was no more water and then it burned?
So I was boiling some spaghetti for spaghetti, and I was like,
No, really?
I don't remember exactly what I did, but
I remember exactly what you did, you idiot.
I think I underestimated how much a pot could hold, and so all the spaghetti came out and got underneath the burner.
No, that's not what happened.
What happened?
What happened was you were right with the spaghetti and underestimating how much spaghetti can fit in a pot of water, but you left them sticking up. You didn't like try and mush it down to where it would fit in the water.
Well, it'll eventually like melt or like loosen.
It will cook, honey. It will fucking cook.
Noodles melting. Oh my god.
It will cook, okay? But you left it sticking up, and the sides of the pot got hot because it's under fire or heat. That the ends started catching fire.
Oh my god.
What?
It was bad.
I still ate it.
Cheryl, you're like one of the most
It takes skill.
Precious rainbow in our group. I will say that.
It takes skill to burn something while it's in water.
I'm better now. I can cook better now. I have not...
Cheryl is a solid 4th place out of all of us here. Ludwig, you take 3rd. You get bronze, man. At least you make something that's edible and can be eaten.
Yo, but on this side, I have to express my sympathies because I know the struggle. It is real. Like, either you were not able to get educated by your parents, or you were not willing, or whatever else happened. Like in this case. And then you are stuck with yourself and you have to try to learn how to cook. And you just stand in front of this whole alchemic apparatus and you just despair. It's like you open up a cookbook and half of the language you don't even understand.
That is, you
Like,
know, you have a good point.
What do you mean blanch something? What is blanching?
That is a good point. Like, there's so many things that I learned when I was cooking with Mom that I didn't know that there were proper terms for it. Mom's just like, oh, just do it like this. I was like, yeah, okay, sure, all right. But it wasn't later. I was like, oh.
That's what julienning something is.
I was sauteing. That's what that word means. I see it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, at the beginning when I started to cook and I started to cook recipes, I was painstakingly exact with what I want to put into there or what I have to put in there. Like I went down to the parts of grams to make sure that I have the right amount of everything. Nowadays I'm like, put it in. It works out. It will mellow over time. But back then,
that's a good point too.
I was scared. I was a bunny in the headlights.
That's a good point too. Did you ever have Felix and Grace, did you ever have like cookbooks that your family would work based off? Because
No.
Absolutely not.
My experience was also my church always put together like a communal cookbook, and
it's really cute actually.
It's filled with old white lady recipes, and I'm
Which is the best recipe.
What those basically are casseroles, and I don't care. I don't care for casseroles, so I never used the cookbook. Because
I want to see this cookbook. I would love to get my hand on it if you have it.
I think I remember where it is. I'll have to find it.
Okay, like send it over.
But 90%.
I need to start collecting cookbooks.
But 90% of it is casseroles, and like green bean casserole, yam casserole, macaroni and cheese casserole, and I'm like, fine, great. I just want like a sandwich.
Actually, I get it. Because casseroles as well as soups, which is my personal specialty, they're easy. Like you put everything into one pot.
Yeah.
And if you feed a family, for me as a German, if you want to feed a family, you have 2 ways. You either have your daily grab, which is basically one or two pots which you use maximum, or you have your Sunday meal, which is 3 things. And always 3 things. You have a meat or some other kind of protein, you have a veggie, and you have a carb. And you separate the 3 of them. And then you put them together on the plate. Right?
Uh-huh.
So it is easy and convenient cooking when you are not doing Sunday meals. If you're doing Sunday meals, you invest like 3-4 hours in a go in a kitchen. But in a normal daily life, you're like, nah.
Yeah.
How about now?
My mom has definitely come up with some really crazy recipes during our lives here. I know that I always get eyebrows raised when I always tell people that my mom used to make bolognese, like regular pasta bolognese, but she'll put kidney beans with the meat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. It's basically chili beans.
It's basically chili beans, but
With pasta.
With pasta. And people are like,
Yeah, my mom does that too.
what? No!
It's like,
No!
Puts that in. Yeah.
No way!
And then like she'll go super fancy and she'll add like a little bit of sugar and then like frozen veggies. And so like our bolognese sauce was never just meat. It was always some sort of form of veggies or corn or something like that to add like sweet notes to it.
Huh.
And like cheese on top.
Okay, Grace, you need to tell us about your cooking experience and your relationship to cooking, because you hinted at it there. I want to know more.
So it's similar to Felix, where mom took care of the cooking, the majority of it. And on some occasions, my dad would take over, but it was like fried rice and stuff.
Exactly like my dad. My dad was useless at the kitchen. All he could do is just fucking fried rice.
Yeah. And that was like, I think like my culinary journey just was like a combination of watching my mom, trying things out for myself, and just watching a crap ton of YouTube videos. I think I learned most of my techniques through YouTube and watching my mom in terms of tasting. So flavor profile wise, my taste is closer to my mom's stuff. But then I think if we talk about like my brother who went to culinary school afterwards, his food is closer to what I would say like the YouTube stuff would be, like Western savory foods. The flavor profiles are more clean. I think with my mom, it was never like, we would always season our steaks with sauces or with some sort of herbs or spices. It was never plain. Like, there was no such thing as a steak on a skillet with butter, garlic, and rosemary. Like, that was such a late thing to our palates later on. Like, it was like when I was already in university that I had my first steak without seasoning, and I was just like, why does this taste so plain? But yeah, and then nowadays I'm working as a producer for a YouTube cooking channel called My Name is Ando.
Plug it, honey.
Plugs.
Come on, plug.
We're hitting 500,000 subscribers.
Hey.
We
We're
have
2,000 away,
we have
so.
2 subscribers maybe.
Yeah.
Nah, but it's like definitely a really interesting culinary journey, because I never thought I would go into cooking as like an art form, but even then, most of the arts that I do is in the management and project stuff or administration. So culinary arts isn't as fancy as I make it sound, but it's the only thing that I do daily that I can find creativity as an output for creativity.
That's interesting. Yeah. For me, because my creative output has always just been music, for me, cooking is more of like a way for me to continue to express myself, but for my own enjoyment. You know what I mean? I usually try and find recipes that are really interesting and are in our budget, and I'll try making them. Or, you know, every once in a while, I'll just get the whim of like, you know what, I want to make some pad thai, and then I go to find the really hard to find ingredients and make it really nice. But it's it's always just for myself, for me to feel good about what I eat, because like I have handcrafted this with my 2 hands, and I spent an hour and a half to get this all right, and I had to deal with a really crappy kitchen with a really terrible fan. But yeah, so it's, for me, it's always been, yes, it's sustenance, but I always enjoy what I do. I'm not sure if my mom has ever felt the same way or if she passed that down to me, but my mom always enjoyed eating. And so I think that love gets translated over to me, because I will just talk about the food that we eat, or like we go to a restaurant, like, oh, this is really nice. Well, I wonder what they did for this, or things like that.
Yeah, my mom was not a picky eater, and my dad just ate whatever was put in front of him. So we didn't have any of the, like, I think the only picky eater in our family was my brother, and then obviously he became a chef, so he cooks the things that he wants to eat now. And my parents appreciate it when we cook for them, and even now when my mom cooks, before it was just like kind of like every day, and I really enjoyed it, but then now that I'm no longer in Canada, I really miss her cooking, because I can't recreate the flavors that she normally does. Like, she's known for her pho in our family, like in her extended families, and even on my dad's side too. So I've taken on that tradition for Ludwig's family, where Christmases, we don't bring gifts, we bring ourselves.
Oh, nice.
Food and ourselves, yeah. So then we'll be together for maybe 3 days, and one of the meals of those days, I cook something that's really simple on our end, like Asian food wise, but it's apparently really special for.
Okay, all right, Grace. What's in your back pocket? You gotta tell me. What's in your back pocket?
I don't eat a lot of vegetables, so I roast vegetables. I blend them into a sauce, add either some sort of cream, milk, coconut, whatever. Then I put in a crap ton of cheese, and then I put noodles into it. And each serving is about half a day's worth of veggies. Nice.
That sounds really good.
That's my go-to. Yeah, and like you can't go wrong because roasting veggies makes
that's like the easiest thing you could do. If you're feeling cruddy and you want to make like eat a lot of vegetables but you can't be bothered to cook them all, just roast them. Get a big old thing, olive oil, salt, 450 for like 20-30 minutes, you're done.
Yeah. Or like if I really want to feel fancy, I do fried chicken.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. Cheryl and I have been watching this one YouTube channel called Imamu Room, and she's basically a Japanese stay-at-home mom who makes YouTube videos of herself.
Bento boxes for her husband, right?
Yeah.
She's amazing. Oh my god. Hashtag aesthetic goals.
But she inspired me to like, oh, I can make that. It can't be that hard to make chicken katsu. Like I just watch her constantly do it, and I'm like, yeah, these ingredients are really easy, and I make a killer chicken katsu now with like proper Japanese curry. Ugh. But if it will be in my back pocket. I guess fried rice. It's honestly really easy, and you just need rice and day old rice.
Day old rice.
You need this ripping hot wok, oil, egg, done. And like sauces, of course, but
like your specialty is with like kecap manis and like other more Indonesian kind of spices.
I'm so proud of Cheryl being able to pronounce it properly.
Oh, thank you.
Cheryl's relationship to cooking, especially with Indonesian cooking, has been kind of interesting as well. But nasi goreng is an Indonesian specialty, and it is a little bit more on the sweet side than most other fried rices. But I definitely had that in my back pocket. I'm actually impressed with Cheryl though. Their back pocket recipe is a killer broccoli cheddar soup.
Ooh.
Oh, that's true.
That's your back pocket recipe.
I actually found it off of TikTok. I'll have to find it. I'll put it in the show notes. That'll be fun.
Yes.
So not complete credit to me, whoever that guy was that I got this from, but I tried it and I was like, damn, this is really good. And so we'll have that sometimes. I was actually going to say that my back pocket thing is my Cheryl special.
Oh,
Cheryl special?
What is that?
So when I don't...
Ludwig, if you go to your bachelor cookbook, turn to page 417.
What? Oh.
417, your birthday.
Oh.
If you turn on page 417, you'll find Cheryl's special. And Cheryl will tell you the recipe here right now.
So when I don't feel like having... When I have some time on my hands, since I've been working from home as of late, I will make a lunch called the Cheryl Special, where literally all I do is I take like a packaged naan, I'll toast it in the oven while I make 2 sunny side up eggs. Once the naan is done, I will turn it upside down to where the soft side is up, and I will put cheese on it, I will put sriracha on it, sometimes I'll put Kewpie on it, and then I'll just put the eggs on it, and that's my lunch.
Oh.
I remember when I was showing it to my coworkers, they're like, oh, it's like a pizza. I'm like, no, fuck you, it's not. I was offended.
You can tell that if it were not for me, Cheryl would be eating like a bachelor for the rest of their days.
As you guys were talking, I was just kind of realizing, I think one of the reasons that I don't have as much of a relationship to cooking is because I grew up around cans and TV dinners. I remember Ludwig talking about earlier, like one of the more traditional meals being like a meat, a veggie, and the carb. My family did something similar, except most of the time my mom would get her veggies from a can. Like we'd have canned green beans, we'd have canned turnip greens, we'd have canned collard greens, we'd have canned peas, we'd have canned carrots.
I'm thinking about all these cans, and I'm just like, my mind is like, oh, There's a lot of water and sodium and all that.
You've seen my back porch.
Yeah.
My back porch at my OG home, like multiple rows and multiple shelves stuffed with cans, just because that's how my mom be. And no bad feelings toward her. It's just that's how she did her veggies. She would just empty it into a can and heat it up, and that was our vegetable. That's it. You'd add your own salt. You'd add your own pepper. My dad would sometimes get out the vinegar, and that was your veggie. And then, like, for TV dinners, our entree was about 30% of the time, like, Stofers.
No.
What is a stouffer?
Stofers.
Oh, Ludwig! Oh, no!
Stofers is, like, the most basic bitch microwave dinner. Like, they do pastas, like lasagna and whatnot, but they also do meatloaf.
Here's how you cook it, okay? You crack it open.
No, you don't. You stab it.
Oh, no. You crack it open.
Damn it.
You stab
To like let the gas or
the hot steam out, yeah.
Plus, there's you like keep the plastic on.
Yeah,
but
so that's what I mean.
Plastic.
You crack it open. There's a layer of plastic. You stab the plastic with the fork, so you have some holes in it.
All that BPA.
You're awful. Put it in the microwave for like what, a minute and a half, 3-4 minutes, I think, right?
Yeah. Halfway through, you take it out and you stir it, and then you put it back in for the rest.
Oh, it's one of these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Oh, lordy, no.
Especially when my mom had cancer and did not have the strength to cook. My dad would just be like, all right, we're going to buy a lot of meatloaf and pasta and mac and cheese and taco salad. And, there was one that I actually like had a bit of a guilty pleasure for. It was stuffed bell peppers. Microwaved stuffed microwave stuffed bell peppers. You think like nice oven baked stuffed bell peppers with like a nice ground beef and whatnot.
Think of all the frost on the bell peppers, and then I have to microwave that.
And then it
what
gets
is it
mushy.
stuffed with?
Like ground beef and
Rice?
yeah, ground beef and rice and like some onions and stuff like it's got some flavor. It's just they've already cooked it and then they freeze it. So once you recook it, the bell pepper, which is already soft, becomes like liquid.
Mushy.
Yeah,
Oh,
but it was kind of good.
This reminds me of school food back in the day when I was still in elementary school. It was just so mushy, you could tell that it was just all coming from one big vat where it has been cooked for an hour or something to really make it food safe. And then they would just add sugar and salt to make it taste like yummy. And it still haunts me in this like Reese's food. Not actually as bad as just something as like, yeah, I totally could go with the fork spaghettis, as they were called, from high school right now.
Oh,
Do they do that anymore? Like, do high schools still do like cafeteria food?
Yeah.
a lot of
yeah.
times they'll
Oh,
still
yeah.
do like
Totally.
they'll do like
Absolutely.
it's all pizza, French fries, fast food stuff.
because a lot of
We got beef patty.
Oh yeah, well you're in
Oh.
Scarborough, you gotta have a beef patty, and then they'll just be like, no, this ain't that good. Go to the Kennedy Station, or you go to Bathurst. Bathurst has got the best beef patties.
if you want to get sick of something, you could be like my high school and literally do the same week, like hot lunch schedule, but it wasn't cafeteria food. It was all catered from Chick-fil-A and Little Caesars and the nearby barbecue joint.
That sounds pretty good though.
Yeah, but every week, the exact same day, Tuesday and Thursday were Chick-fil-A. Friday was Domino's Pizza. Wednesday was barbecue. Monday was Subway. Every single week for the
I
whole
thought you
year.
liked Chick-fil-A.
I
Don't
do.
you worship Chick-fil-A?
Well,
Well,
And we'll talk about our relationship with Chick-fil-A in another episode, okay? That one is complicated for Cheryl.
I like their food.
Hella
I do not
complicated.
like their morals. But their
That one-
chicken be banging.
Yeah,
bang.
that one's a complicated one. Yeah, in Indonesia, I'm just thinking back before we moved up here, Grace, did you have maids?
No, we didn't have maids. We were too poor for that.
Okay.
Yeah. The children were the maids.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. No, when I was in Indonesia, my parents were pretty well off. They were upper middle class in Indonesia. And so we had mates to help out with chores around the house, but when it comes to food, we'd often just get street food because it was easy and cheap and delicious. So we'll just always order in. But I'm just thinking about it, and like when Mom moved here and how she learned how to cook, I'm just, there's a gap of knowledge there that I'm not sure what happened, and I really need to ask my mom about that.
I think that's really interesting because like in Asia, there's a huge culture of eating out because it's so insanely cheap, and it's like from people's homes. So you're just buying other home cooked meals.
Yeah.
And it's not the same like going into the West where it's like if you buy
a restaurant, you sit down, everything's clean, everything's catered, waiters. No. This one here, you're like,
food bloggers, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? And then
no, honestly, if you go to Indonesia, you just go up like, yep, that guy there with the really shitty cart and
there's flies hanging out.
There's no refrigeration. He makes the most killer fried kway teow. He makes a killer kway teow in the neighborhood, and you're like, but this guy, all his ingredients are just hanging out, and I'm like, yep, you will eat it.
That's how it is.
That's how it is. He'll cook it fresh for you out of his propane tank, and then that's it. There's your food.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's what I lament about the Western culture, because everything needs to be so clean, or there's this like standard of, I need to have if I'm not going to have control over my food, at least I need to know the government controls the quality of it.
Yeah.
And when I say you need diarrhea pills when you go abroad to try street food,
100%. You need diarrhea pills.
Oh my god.
There's no way around it. There's no way around it. But it's so good though.
I know.
I think about food that I've made, and I think about food that my mom has made, and I think back on how people would look at it really weird and not be aware of it. But I don't know. It's and then all of a sudden now they're saying, "Oh, this is really cool," and like you were disrespecting it like all those years ago.
We would pick fun back in my elementary school about Chinese food to be like, "Oh, Chinese people eat monkey brain."
Oh, that stuff?
Like, that's the shit that, like, young elementary school deep south Cheryl was exposed to as well. Like, I mean, it wasn't even, like, that... It didn't last super long. It was just, like, probably, like, a little tiny trend that had been going around with all the preschoolers and whatnot. But I do recall, like, us being like, ew, I don't want Chinese food. I don't want monkey brains. And I had Chinese food for the first time, and I was like, okay. And then I had actual Chinese food when I went to visit you, and I was like, oh.
Cheryl's experience with dim sum is great.
We should talk about this, because Cheryl and Ludwig have this experience. Yeah.
But hang on, we're talking about cooking. We're not talking about eating. We're talking about cooking.
Okay.
Let's do an episode on dim sum.
We should do
the battlegrounds of testing the white folks.
Yeah, absolutely. When you get to feel like a real minority for the first time. It's true though.
Well, for me, it wouldn't be dim sum. It would be pho. My experiences with that, because it was the first proper Asian food which I would eat, besides from the Europeanized Chinese food, quote unquote Chinese food.
Have you never had dim sum?
I did multiple times. But my first real take into Asian or Vietnamese cooking was a bowl of pho, and that was just mind-opening.
Yeah, pho is very good.
Yeah,
Pho changes your life.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why every time I visit Grace's family, and her mom asks us beforehand, "Hey, what do you want to eat when I'm here?" I'm always saying, "I want your pho and I want nothing else," because it's just so good. It encapsulates what I like with visiting Grace's family. It is it is an awesome flavor profile of something which I'm not used to eat on a regular basis, and B, I see and I taste that there's a lot of time and effort which went into the soup, and a lot of experience behind it. And every time I eat it, I just feel humbled Because this is nothing which I would be able to create myself. And which is nothing which my cultural environment could create.
Yeah.
Because our way of cooking, our way of philosophy of thinking about how to cook and what spices to use and how to combine flavor profile with each other is so alien to that. And so vastly different. Like every time in the beginning when Grace came to me and I was cooking for her, she always said there's something lacking with that. Because on my understanding, when you cook, you go into one of the 5 main directions. Like savory, salty, sweet, sour, bitter. And you pick one of them.
You only stick to the one, right?
Exactly. And maybe add a second to it to support the first one. So it's a very clear, clean character profile of food. And then Grace came over and looked at all of this stuff and basically started what we would call nowadays heresy. For example, as Germans, when we do breakfast, we usually take our bread and we put like cheese and sausage and jams on top of it. But we always pick one of them and maybe add a sauce and maybe some veggies. And that's it. It's bread, some kind of fat to keep the bread and the toppings separated, and then the toppings, and that's it. And Grace came over, looked at the whole thing, and in absolute disregard of German norms and standards, she decided to take basically the entirety of the table and drop it on one bread.
Yep.
So it was like 6 to 8 layers. And I looked at it, and my family looked at it, and we were all like flabbergasted because it was so weird to see something like that.
How can this tiny person eat this whole
tiny
thing?
Asian person sitting right next to me and having the audacity to treat my German breakfast like that? But then I tried. And I immediately went into this is heresy. Because it is very, very wrong, but it tastes so, so good.
The joke was when I first did it, and he was like, "Oh my god, are you pregnant?"
Oh my god!
I
Wow.
gave it to him, and he ate it. He's like, "Am I pregnant?"
Oh my god.
That's good.
Yeah,
Grace,
but
you
like, sorry. Go
You
ahead.
should tell the story about how you made that abomination of a McDonald's sandwich.
Oh my god! So
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
love
Grace can
it.
put away.
Yeah, Grace
Yeah.
can put away food, but this was. I remember looking at this like, Grace, this is disgusting. And Grace is
I
like,
think
look,
it was
you're telling me that this was cheaper than a Big Mac and had
It
twice
is.
the amount of meat.
Yeah. And like I think
describe
it
it.
came from my okay, so context is that when I was in high school, I did competitive swimming. And competitive swimming, like gymnastics, burns a shit ton of calories. So for me, I needed to eat something that had crap tons of fat, carbs, and proteins that also had enough to tie me over between meals. So Felix and I once upon a time went to a McDonald's and I got a junior chicken, a double cheeseburger, fries, chicken nuggets, honey, and black pepper. And I essentially made a really big burger. And then like I splurged on that day. I bought chicken nuggets, but normally I would just buy the McChicken. or
It's as big
junior
as her
chicken.
head, okay?
It's big.
Yeah, and
It's
it was,
as
like,
big as
pretty
Grace's
big.
head.
Yeah. And it's like sweet, savory, salty, peppery with ketchup, so it's a little bit sour. And I ate it.
And Felix is like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, what are you
Drooling thinking
eating?
about it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So when you told me the story about the breakfast sandwich, I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah. It was just layers upon layers, and me and later on my family, we could not help to just look at it and be like, what is
Yeah.
this?
I remember Ludwig's mom just going, Grace!
No! Really?
Because I put strawberry jam on salami over hummus and cream cheese. And it was like nice and rich and tangy.
And complex
with,
Why would you do this?
Oh my god.
This clearly can only come from a background where your bread tastes like cardboard. I'm sorry, America, but your bread is bad.
It is.
There's a science and history behind that too.
Yeah.
But like that's
Which
a
is
different...
connected with racism as well, but your bread is just plain bad, probably because it's connected to racism.
Yeah.
Wonder Bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonder Bread is awful.
Oh man.
Yeah, but circling back to like Ludwig's encounter with pho, on the flip side of it, I know my mom totally loves it when he says, I want to eat your pho, because to her, like from an Asian side, no compliment is better than saying, I want to eat your food, because love
totally.
language.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like cooking for someone is probably one of the best acts of service, and like probably the only acceptable, quote unquote acceptable way of showing affection way back when. Hopefully we're breaking the cycle with this generation where we're like saying I love you and stuff like that. But
I love you. Here's a sourdough that I made just for you.
Yeah.
Yo, if you brought me a sourdough, I'd be like, damn.
Yeah, and like even now with the way I care for people, I'm doing it the same way as my mother. Like being a host, having people come over and eating food and have them cook with me. So not only do I feed them, but I also teach them how to do the same thing back at home. So then I know when they need something, they can actually choose to have better food. Yeah. So for Ludwig and I, cooking was one of the first things we could do together when we were doing long distance, because we could get the same or similar ingredients and follow instructions and spend time talking to each other while cooking.
So we made ourselves a Skype date, which was usually on Sunday, and we Skyped whilst cooking with each other. And then we were sitting in front of each other and eating it together. It was interesting to see that even though we had the same idea, it turned out differently every time.
Like what he cooked was not necessarily what I cooked. Because we, like, obviously we mentioned before, like my flavor profiles had to have all 5 elements, but he needed to have one of the 5 elements. So even the tasting experience was not the same, or even like the eating experience, because the way we cut things are differently as well.
And then where you source your ingredients is going to make a big difference too.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And
Cheryl, yeah.
sorry, but budget-wise, it costed Ludwig more than me, I think, because well, I think about it like when we do Asian stuff, yeah, because the Asian ingredients cost more here in Europe than it does in Toronto.
But the standard veggie stuff, like
The mirepoix, the carrots, onions, celery,
those
potatoes.
are dirt cheap in Germany.
Yeah.
When it comes to Cheryl and I don't think we've ever done a Skype date where we cooked, because
I remember did
we do it once?
Well, hang on. I'm randomly thinking of this anecdote. Remember when I first moved up and you were at work and I was trying to figure out how to turn on the gas stove?
Oh, that was hilarious.
Because I had only ever had like the coil electric stoves, ever. And I remember
It was really funny.
Well, I remember when I was messing with like gas, like with my dad's barbecue, it was always like, "Oh, don't mess with it too much; it'll explode." So I'm like, anytime I'm messing with gas, I'm like, I can't let it explode. I can't do that. So I was like, Felix, how do I turn on the this gas stove? And he's like, you just push it in and turn it. And I'm like, but it clicks.
I'm like, honey, it's supposed to click. And I was there. So
was
I
at
ended up
work.
video chatting with Cheryl, and I was at work at the cell phone booth, and it was myself and this Caribbean girl. We're both just watching Cheryl, and then all of a sudden the camera just cuts, and I just oh, that's it, Cheryl's dead. But then I texted her and she was fine. But that was hilarious. That was a good time.
Oh
Well,
my God.
I survived.
Yeah, you survived. But yeah, we cook together now. Cheryl,
We would sometimes, but it wouldn't generally be like the same thing. Like sometimes, like I remember on Beethoven's birthday, you would always make mac and cheese
yes.
in honor of his favorite food.
Yeah.
And you would always make KD because you're a basic bitch.
Yep.
And so your mom,
What?
but you had to wait until mom was done in the kitchen to make it too. Because when mom's in the kitchen, you don't mess with the shit in the kitchen.
No. Because then mom will start judging me and just be like, why are you cooking? I made all this food for you. And I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry, but I have to.
It's Beethoven's birthday. So he would make mac and cheese only when she was gone, and sometimes he had to be like quiet because sometimes she'd hear and come down and be like, "Why are you cooking? There's all this food in the fridge."
Now I have a question.
Yes.
A, why do you celebrate Beethoven's birthday? B, how do you know that his favorite food is mac and cheese?
Okay, well, one, I celebrate Beethoven's birthday because he's one of my favorite composers, Western composers. He's very good, and he defined a lot of music for a lot of people. And number two, we know that it's mac and cheese because he has that notebook where he was deaf, and so he had to write down what he was saying or what other people were saying to him on this notebook. So we actually have a pretty good idea of what he'd like to say and what he would tell people. And apparently his housemaid would Beethoven would either give his housemaid the list of ingredients for his favorite food, or they would like, are these the ingredients that you need for your favorite food? And it's basically just pasta with a lot of shredded cheese over top of it.
Oh, Kässpätzle.
Huh?
Excuse you.
It's a German.
It's the German version of mac and cheese.
Cheryl just said, "Bless you." Oh my
That was literally hints. Oh my god.
wow.
That was the most spontaneous thing I've ever said. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Kässpätzle. Bless you.
Fantastic.
Okay, so what is it?
Kässpätzle.
Okay.
It is German mac and cheese.
Huh.
Which is just pasta with cheese.
It's spelt flour dough that's made wet. It's never been dried, and it's not even holding its form, so it's actually a gloop. You put it into like an apparatus that lets it drip through, and you kind of like spin or run it across a board, and it essentially drips and turns into noodles instantly in hot water. So it's like, think Chinese drop noodles, and but with spelt flour.
Huh.
Yeah.
I have to look into that. But yeah, Beethoven's favorite food. And now you know.
Yeah.
And now you know.
The other thing that I know for last thing. The I don't get KD here. You can get American KD at an American grocery store, but it's hella expensive. So I just do a bechamel sauce with like a crap ton of cheese, nutmeg, pepper, paprika, and I just put noodles into it, mix it, and then put veggies on top or more cheese or breadcrumbs.
Are we talking about our national way of making mac and cheese? Is that what we're doing now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You ready for Southern mac and cheese?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, boiled noodles, all that stuff. You need 2 pounds of cheese.
How much is that in grams?
About thereabouts. Basically, you need one of the big bags of shredded cheese because my parents are too, well, they can't be fucked to shred their own cheese. So we always get the shredded bag cheese. And we use the whole thing. And I remember the first time I made it with my mom, she's like, "Put some more cheese." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" And she's like, yeah, keep going. So I keep spreading. And because basically you're layering it, because again, casserole, mac and cheese casserole. It's amazing. But layers of noodles, layers of cheese, layers of noodles, layers of cheese until you are out of cheese. No more cheese. That's it.
Not even running out of space. It's running out of cheese.
Exactly. and then you pour milk in the casserole dish up until about 3/4 of the way up.
Uh-huh.
So you've got cheese, and then you 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 got milk, and then you got milk, and then you put butter on it.
What?
You put like slab butter just like sprinkled on top of it and whatnot, and then you bake it.
Oh my.
Well, wait. You got to sprinkle more cheese on top. That's right.
I want to
It's
try this.
amazing. I remember once when Felix's best friend Jason was like having a hard day, and I was there to visit. We were like, "Let's make your mom's mac and cheese," and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And he's like, "How much cheese do you need?" And I was like, "We gotta buy more, Felix. We gotta buy more than that."
It was a lot of cheese.
It was a lot of cheese, but it's worth it.
Breaking news! Watch this local madman clock his arteries!
It's worth it.
Oh, last thing. Since I didn't talk about my back pocket recipe.
Oh shoot! We never thought about your back pocket
Yeah.
recipe.
In my case, I don't really have one. I will make you survive with whatever is there. But if pressed, I can make some good hash browns.
Back pocket survival mode.
Back pocket survival mode. I will make you something edible.
Oh, but you have to like remember it's not American hash browns.
No.
This is like
Oh.
German hash browns.
Yep.
I think your Jewish folks will probably know what it is. What is it called?
Like
Latka?
laksa?
Yeah,
Latkes?
or yeah,
I'm gonna look it up.
latkes. I don't know, laksa.
No,
I want to say
laksa.
laksa, but that's a soup.
I think it's latka.
We would call it Kartoffelpuffer.
Yeah, latkes.
Lacke.
Laka.
Potato
Yeah.
cake.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's really good. And actually, this is the first time I actually had it sweet because he pulled out cinnamon sugar.
And applesauce.
Ooh. Ooh. That sounds
Yeah,
really
and
good.
it was crispy and sweet, and I was like, hell yeah. It's like the
But-
corner edge piece of a brownie.
But we don't discriminate. If you want to put some cream cheese or some mustard on top or some meat and some bacon, go ahead.
Sriracha.
Or you do me, and I was like putting everything onto one with applesauce and ham.
With me getting a freaking heart attack just looking at it.
It's good.
It is good.
Okay. Are we going to
Grace.
end it here?
Close it out.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening to our relationship too. And this was the episode on cooking. So you can totally hang out with us online. We have our Instagram and Twitter, and we also have our email that you can send suggestions to. We're always on social media at Vantage Point for Felix.
Composer FA.
For me, Charshi blows.
And Ludwig will probably be lurking in our podcast social media because he's the one that curates the memes every Monday.
Exactly.
Meme
But you
Mondays.
cannot find me anywhere else because I'm still a caveman and I still refuse to partake in the Insta hype.
Yeah.
Is that how you young people say it?
No, not
Insta
even
hype.
anymore. It's TikTok.
Yeah.
Be gone, foul demon!
Yeah, so we hope that you enjoy our episode, and we hope to see you for our next one, which we will be covering. What are we covering?
Diet.
Diet?
A diet.
Diet. Oh.
We're gonna keep this food train rolling.
Yeah, so I guess our next episode will be diet and our relationships to that. Thank you so much once again, and we hope that you have a splendid, wonderful, beautiful, amazing, fantastical day.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.